Seeing the 3 generations of Dietz women, there's a lot going on.
Winona and I were both, oh, what's it gonna look like? What's it gonna feel like?
For me, it was strangely emotional seeing them together again.
It's like a dream come true. I'm working with all of these people that I've respected and admired and looked up to for years.
That's what I loved about it. It's like, what happened to these people? For me, it needed to be like all this time later to really resonate.
The core of the script is about family. It's about 3 generations of women coming together.
Here we go.
Miles and I both have 2 daughters each and always get a front row seat to the mother-daughter relationship. So I think it's something that we kind of pulled from our own experience.
There's that dynamic that's quite common, the differences between parents and children, mothers and daughters. You know, it's interesting.
In the first movie, Lydia and Delia couldn't stand each other. It was like the classic stepmother-stepdaughter relationship. And in this movie, as the years have gone by, I think they've really come to rely on each other.
They pretend they sort of tolerate each other, but they still have the similar dynamic that they had in the first.
They definitely have a closer bond than I think either of them would admit.
Well, from my point of view, Delia is a sensitive, wonderful artist who loves and misses her husband. And 35 years later, Delia and Lydia finally get along.
It just felt like a very real relationship to me.
You weren't very nice. No, you barely acknowledged my existence. But we've done all right, haven't we?
Turns out she's a loving wife, whether you thought so or not from the original. I think she's softened, and she's definitely aged 35 years, thank you. That's scary.
It's hard to act as if she's getting on your nerves somehow. I don't think anyone can make me laugh harder than Catherine O'Hara. Everything that she does is so brilliant.
Exactly. And we go back up too far.
The Lydia character in particular has evolved. I think she's someone who begins the movie broken and in a crisis point in her life, and through the course of the movie finds some comfort and ease.
Lydia, for me, was why I got back into it. What happened to her? Where did you go right? Where did you go wrong? What happens in life as you get older? All that sort of thing. So that was the thing that really hooked me emotionally back into it.
And Winona's done a beautiful job being consistent with the Lydia we knew from many, many years ago.
Really like the idea of playing her as sort of broken, and that being haunted for 30 years actually really affects you, and not in a positive way.
She's trying to love her daughter, trying to be a mother to her, which is not something I would have anticipated for Lydia. I think at 15, I kind of saw her being somewhat of a happy spinster.
That teenage anger has kind of softened, and once Lydia became a mother, you have a different perspective on these things.
I think she has a lot of empathy for Delia now because of her having a daughter and knowing now what it feels like.
And now,
I think it's karma for Lydia to deal with Astrid the way I had to deal with Lydia.
Astrid! Let her be. She hates me.
I think for us, the emotional heart of the movie was Lydia and Astrid, and that's sort of the emotional spine of the movie.
I think there's just a lot of teen angst that's happening.
Then obviously over the course of the movie, Astrid comes to understand her mother and what her mother's ability is. And there's a family reconnection so that by the end of the movie, their bond is very strong.
Jenna becoming Astrid was a conversation Tim and I had a couple weeks before Wednesday came out. We were talking about Astrid character, and we said it would be really great to have Jenna play the role. So he and Jenna had a meeting, and he asked her to read the script, and if she felt like there was a role in there for her, he would be delighted to have her in the project.
I didn't want to feel like I was trying to do an impression, because I think people hear Lydia Dietz's teenage daughter and think that it's going to be the same person, and they're actually very different.
She's not Lydia. Jenna really created her own very unique character. I felt like I was seeing a younger version of myself, only 100 times cooler.
Jenna, man, she just got the tone. She didn't try to do something different or go off in a direction that didn't fit.
It's a very crucial role because it's like kind of commenting on the whole thing as well. So Jenna really brings a gravity to it and fits right in and adds more to it, you know, which is extremely important.
She's the new eyes in the movie. She's the one who can kind of comment on the afterlife when she finally goes in. She can comment on her mother, on how crazy all of this is.
She's exactly who you would expect the child of Lydia Dietz to be.
She represents another generation, which I felt just beautiful.
So I think that's the journey that the audience takes seeing this mother and daughter come together. And that was really special for us as writers and as fathers. And I think that's something that's very special about the movie and makes it feel a bit different from the first.
People already know you'd rather spend more time with ghosts than your own daughter. Astrid is typical teen, hates her parent. You know you don't have to do this, right? Which is so strange because obviously Lydia is the coolest woman on the planet. Winona, I've been a fan of for a very long time. She's such a really, really good person. She's so giving and so vulnerable. I feel like I've learned so much from her. Snakes.
Actually, asps.
And then Delia and Astrid have a weird kind of friendship.
I think Delia sees Astrid as a fresh new Lydia, you know, just kind of dry and dark and, you know, looking around like the world isn't near as cool as she is.
They're very like-minded, I think. They have the same sense of humor. I think they both can be dramatic about certain things or just unlikable in a really charming way.
I didn't even think you were going to be in this, did you?
No.
Jen and I found fun ways to connect. She's great. I mean, obviously a great actress, but also game to try anything.
Is this a common trick of yours? So why should you do this?
I've always loved Catherine. I was so excited to join the project, especially knowing that she was going to be involved. And I really think that on screen, she helps pull everyone together. I'm just so impressed and amazed by her.
The three of them, the trifecta, is really great to watch.
It's like people playing instruments together. You kind of hear them.
That's just lovely to know that you're part of this great creation.
I find myself already feeling nostalgic for the experience and just really, really grateful it's happened.
It was the most incredible time I've ever had. It was really special.
Tim Burton hit the ground running with the shrunken head guys.
I don't know what her problem is. Normally chicks.
That was one of the most fun aspects of it, really.
The shrinkers were in the original, or a shrink was in the original. There's something brilliant in its simplicity. There's something strange. So this time we decided that we'd bring them back. We didn't want to change them very much at all. They were just too good to change.
Tim always loved them and wanted them to have more of a character in this movie. And in the script phase, Beetlejuice was running a boiler room and they had to be workers in there.
He's taken his bioexorcism business and it's almost like a Glengarry Glen Ross kind of boiler room. We thought, wouldn't it be funny if they were all shrinkers that you couldn't understand? That's Beetlejuice's crew of people.
Well, you know, I don't know, maybe it's working in a lot of offices and having a lot of jobs. That represents certain kind of workforce that I've been a part of that just felt natural to me.
Now, Bob, stand up and talk to your troops.
Okay, everybody, back to work.
Bob became a character in himself, and then we just started developing their attitude and their characters and their backstory.
More is more sometimes.
Yeah.
And just to have more of those guys is just like hilarious. The puppetry and the visualization is just so fun.
Because it's all practical. It's all practical.
That's the thing. I don't think people realize why they like it. They don't consciously know, but there's that feeling that, you know, somebody actually made it, you know, like handmade it.
I think if you were doing it with any other director, it would be like, okay, we're going to put little blue ping pongs on their head, and then we'll digitally go in and put shrinker heads on.
There was a lot of people at the beginning that thought we were going to be in full CG characters, and Tim really never wanted to go there.
There's an energy to that and a spontaneousness to it. I mean, even though we're dealing with live effects, we're still kind of making it up as we went along.
Getting a grip of the sheer volume of what we would have to produce was exciting and daunting at the same time.
They're all individual. They've got all their different hairstyles. They've got all their different expressions. A lot of thought went into their lips. Are we going to paint that on? Are we going to actually have practical stitching? They're just so full of character, aren't they?
Tim can be incredibly detailed. It was like, no, make the eyes go like, yes, perfect. Now this way, you know, like, I mean, literally every movement was Tim.
The shrinkers were made, I think, very much in the way they made the original. And that became the foundation for what we did.
First, we get in some undergarments, and then I put some padding on, and there's some big shoulder pads which hide my head, and then we get the lovely Beetlejuice costume over the top. And then I wear an animatronic shrunken head bob on top of my head.
The costume department did a tremendous job in redefining the anatomy using slightly larger shoulders, slightly larger collars. There's a brilliant sort of massaging of the human form in order to make them feel like literally they are sitting on someone's shoulders, not on someone's head.
Well, I think my collaboration with Tim over the years has sort of evolved in the sense that we have an unspoken language that we do. Now we kind of laugh about it because there's sort of a predictability for both of us. It's a great way to work, and we enjoy making things together.
And that's why it was very important for us to get Colleen Atwood on board. We really love how Colleen was inspired to base the Shrinker's costumes on classic Century 21 realtor uniforms from the 1970s. So yes, the Shrinkers are the top sales agents in the afterlife.
We then just needed to figure out, how does one perform?
It's about being very focused and specific about the movements you do make. So it's micro movements that complement the performance of the RC. So it's little things like that. So just think about the head bobs and stuff like that, your head turns.
We used people who were of sub 6 foot height, so more in the sort of 5'7" to 5'8" heights. That means that the height of a shrinker is about 6'1", something like that. Particularly, Tim wanted to get them off the sofa and get them walking.
What are they going to be doing? There's going to be a shrink on a bike. How are we going to get someone to ride a bike? Is it going to be a stuntman? How are they going to see? Does that arm move there? It's all trial and error. And then when you get it, you know you've got it. You know it looks good.
To get one shrinker to work on set, you have 4 people per shrinker, and then you have safeties and stunts.
You gotta come down like...
The day we had like 12 of them run down the stairs was really interesting and fun. We kept pushing and pushing the boundaries with them.
They're completely blind. They can't see because obviously they're looking out the lapel or the front of their jackets.
It's about staying all together and creating that chaos. So it's not about speed, but really keep that clump together. Yeah?
There was so much choreography involved and timing because they're not claymation, there not CGI, they're people.
And 3, 2, 1, action!
To be in that and just to watch them all rushing toward you, you feel like you're in this like wonderfully weird dream.
You'd end up chatting to that little head on top of the actor, as opposed to the performer that was in his chest. And the puppeteers soon cottoned onto this and would start, you know, making that little shrinker express as you're kind of chatting away, and you'd lose yourself in it.
I hope people can see how well practical effects can work.
Hello, Atlanta! We were allowed to kind of run mad with it.
It feels really old school.
It's theatre happening in front of you.